Hey, what's up YouTube, and welcome back to a new episode of Arcs and Minis. This is episode 4 with the Comic Jabroni. This is a series where I talk about a miniseries or story arc in comic book history that maybe some of you out there in the YouTube comic community weren't really sure about or didn't know about, or you've seen it out there and weren't sure if you wanted to pick it up. So I'm hoping to enlighten you guys and maybe push you towards getting some of these story arcs or miniseries. If you stuck around until the end of last week's episode, you know that this week we are talking about Amazing Spider-Man 320, the Assassination Plot. Assassination Plot. So at the end of this week's episode, make sure to stick around so you'll know what we're going to be talking about next week. Amazing Spider-Man Assassination Plot. This is a 6-part miniseries drawn by Todd McFarlane and written by David Michelinie. It is an international adventure featuring Spider-Man, Silver Sable. You see Captain America in there. You see some other anti-hero characters that you might not have seen before, like the Paladin and Solo. There are cameo appearances from Sabretooth and the Red Skull. It really is a James Bond spy type adventure featuring Spider-Man. Kind of detective, thriller, mystery, adventure. Really cool stuff. Stuff that we really hadn't seen with Spider-Man before. Also in this series, it's 6 parts like I said, and I'm going to go ahead and show you all of the covers. So there you go. There is number 1. This is 321 part 2. 322 part 3, 323 part 4, nice Captain America cover right there, 324 part 5 with Sabretooth on the cover, and 325, this is part 6, and this has Spider-Man and the Red Skull on the cover. Like I said, it is drawn by Todd McFarlane. All of the covers are done by Todd McFarlane. All of the interior artwork is done by Todd McFarlane, except for one issue, and I will get into that later. So what is this series about, guys? There is a plot to have the United States go to war with Symkaria. If you know, Symkaria is this make-believe country in the Marvel Universe that is home to Silver Sable and Silver Sable Industries, or International Industries. She is really like the spy force of that country. So there is a plot to get these two countries to fight and blame it on the CIA. The Symkarian Prime Minister is murdered by an assassin. The queen, or the prince's wife, so it might be the princess, she's also murdered. So, and they leave evidence at the scene to implicate the CIA and the United States. So if you know anything about history of the United States, the CIA in the US history has been known to involve itself in other countries, especially Latin American countries, in overthrowing governments or running coups in those governments, namely Guatemala. There was one in Chile, Cuba. So this really takes from history and putting it into comic books. So in this series, Spider-Man kind of falls into this assassination plot by accident. He is at a party where he sees Paladin. Paladin is kind of like an anti-hero, paid mercenary, and he follows along with this plot and finds out that there is an assassin paid for by somebody that we really don't know until the very end, who is paying for all of these things and what the reasoning is for doing this. After the first 2 issues, Spider-Man is then hired pretty much by Silver Sable and paid $1,000 a day to help them uncover this mystery. In this part of Amazing Spider-Man, in these issues, Spider-Man is married to Mary Jane Watson, and they're hurting. They're struggling for money. They are actually living with Aunt May, but Aunt May kind of gives them an ultimatum saying, hey, some things are going on in my life, and I might need to start kicking some of the people out that are living in my house. So they're struggling for money. Spider-Man says, you know what? I can do some help and get some money on the side as well, because the Daily Bugle isn't really paying the bills anymore. So let me go ahead and do this. I don't want to give too much of like the end story away, but like I said, you do get Captain America in there, Silver Sable, Sabretooth, Red Skull, a lot of these characters that you're not really used to seeing in Spider-Man stories. All right, so let's go into the rating base that I usually do on these episodes. As far as the story goes, I would give it a 3 out of 5. Now, it really depends on how you feel about Spider-Man and how you feel about like spy mysteries. Now, if you're more into James Bond, you like those movies, you like those comics, you like those books, you'll probably give this a 4, 4.5 out of 5, because there is a lot of mystery in this. There's a lot of spy work, a lot of, getting into the bad guys, fortress, I guess you could say, and just figuring out and learning things. If you're not really into those and Spider-Man really isn't one of your favorite characters, you might give it less than a 3. So I wanted to go right down the middle. I would say a 3 out of 5. Okay, so as far as artwork goes, like I said, all the interior artwork, and I'll be posting up some of the pictures of what the artwork looks like. All the interior artwork is done by Todd McFarlane. He is the godfather of drawing Amazing Spider-Man. I know he didn't start drawing Amazing Spider-Man into, about 298 or so. So there was a lot of Spider-Man before, but I really think that Todd McFarlane's artwork on Spider-Man is just second to none. This man, the way we look at Spider-Man's webbing when he shoots it out of his his wrist shooters, it's all because of what McFarlane did on Spider-Man in that early work. There is one issue that is not drawn by McFarlane, and that is going to be the 5th part with Sabretooth on the cover. I'll go ahead and show that one off. I want to say it is right here. So this one with Sabretooth, the 5th part of the 6-part miniseries. This is actually drawn by Eric Larson. Now, Eric Larson is should be known to a lot of you guys. He's done work on Savage Dragon, and he is the artist for Savage Dragon throughout that whole run. So that one issue is done by Eric Larson. But as far as artwork goes, I'm gonna have to give it 4 out of 5 stars. Absolutely love what Todd McFarlane does. As you can see on some of these panels that I'm showing you, the artwork is just amazing, and he can draw Mary Jane Watson like nobody else can. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay, so the last rating that I'm going to give it is spec value, 0 to a 1 out of 5. There's not much spec to be had in these. It's just a really good story as far as spy work and James Bond type of dealings with Spider-Man. There aren't any first appearances on here. It's just a good story. It'll really get you into reading Amazing Spider-Man. You don't see any first appearances, like I said. You do have Captain America. I know out of the 6 parts, really, the 5th one with Sabretooth on the cover is going to be the hardest one to find. Sabretooth has a ton of fans out there, and it was the hardest for me to find, okay? But all of these issues can be found on my comic shop and on eBay, and a lot of them are going to be found in those back issue bins, guys, at your local comic shop. Go looking out for it. Okay, guys, so that is it. That has been Amazing Spider-Man, the Assassination Plot. Like I said, if you're an Amazing Spider-Man fan, you probably already have this in your collection, but if you don't, definitely go out, find this. It is a really good story. Artwork is just amazing on it. Todd McFarlane does a great job. Covers are pretty beautiful too, guys. I gotta say, Todd McFarlane, especially that last cover with Spider-Man holding that American flag. Go out, find this, read it, let me know what you think about it. So until next time, guys, I will see you. Peace. In a small Midwestern town, a large man with a horribly scarred face gets off a bus. He spooks the locals. Nobody knows him, or do they? It's impossible to say, because he seemingly has no face. The man's intentions remain unknown. The town's impressions of the man changes, and he's seen as a hero until his real intentions bubble to the surface. This man isn't there to end a gang, but to take one over. He's just getting started. Find out more on the next episode of Arcs and Minis.